Welcome back to another episode of the Unstoppable Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Crane, and we got my man, Dr. J, in the house again. I'm excited to chat with you some more, Dr. J. Working with you has honestly been life-changing for me and my wife and for so many others. And so today I want to really highlight some of the results that are being produced from the work you're doing. Some of the clients in Unstoppable 365, I actually have some of their testimonials right here in the form of text messages. And just really, man, like, the blood work that you did with me and being able to understand my body on a more in-depth level has not only motivated the heck out of me, but it has resulted in changes in my lifestyle and changes in my relationship with my wife and my children. And this is the thing I get so fired up for, is once I really understood in depth what was taking place in my own body based on the nutrition that I was consuming or not consuming and just the way I was taking care of myself. Then obviously, my wife did the blood work and she generated this insight too. We started making changes together at home. We eliminated a lot of processed foods. We started making food at home, like popsicles for the kids, granola bars for the kids. And it's so cool to see her armed with information now and really understanding the significance of the work that you do and how food that we really affects our kids and their mental health and their longevity. There's so much that goes into it. So first of all, I just want to say thank you, man. I'm truly grateful for you, and I'm really excited for you being a part of Unstoppable 365 and the work that we're doing with the men and women in our coaching program.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here. And, this is my favorite thing to do, is to talk about ways that we can level up our health, level up our performance, level up our marriages, level up our showing up at the gym, and especially leveling up in business too. That's what we're here to help people do, to truly become unstoppable. So yeah, let's jump in. I'm excited. And one thing you mentioned, the blood work. So that's really key. It's one of those first key steps of knowing where you really are. And so definitely we're going to talk about that with, I know, some of the text messages that we're going to read. We're going to talk about, having a true understanding of where we're starting from and where we are today, and then what we can do after that. So
yeah, and I got a live stream going on a couple platforms. So if anyone jumps on and has questions while we're talking, we could respond to those as well. But the first thing I want to share is, one of our coaching clients did the blood work with you, and he's a little older. He's in his 40s, but not really too old, right?
Old. I turn 41 next week, so that's
yeah,
not old.
That's young. Good. Thank you for correcting me there. So his testosterone was really low, which he was surprised by. And let's stop there. A lot of people think testosterone is just all about like building muscle, and they think it's a steroid, or they think it's like an anabolic. And first of all, it's not a steroid, right? Let's just clarify that. What is the primary reason we need testosterone to be elevated for a man, and what are the ideal ranges for a man?
Yeah. So testosterone is so important because every cell in the male body, or virtually every cell, maybe not red blood cells, but almost every other cell in the body needs testosterone to be able to function its best. And so it's kind of like testosterone turns the cells on, and they need a certain level of those on switches that are flipped to be able to function their best. And so that's where testosterone is so essential, because in this world we live in, that's so full of some amazing technology, but it's very toxic and very actually anti-testosterone to things going on. And so it's very common for guys to have their testosterone levels drop. And so when we're talking about optimal testosterone levels, we're anywhere from 700 to 1200 is what's considered optimal. When a normal range can even drop as low as 300, or even I've seen some labs say 250 can still be normal for men, but that's not normal for men. It might be normal for the average man in the world, but not normal for men that are functioning at their best and are truly optimized.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's normal for the average, but the average isn't where it should be, right? Based on environmental factors, toxins, things we're introduced to. Okay, thank you for clarifying that, because I know a lot of people, including myself in the past, thought TRT or testosterone was really all about like performance in the gym and stuff like that. But you really educated me on that, especially understanding the cells, the off-on switches, and long-term health. So the rest of this message reads, leaky gut due to a high inflammatory reaction due to bad digestion of wheat. Basically, this individual said that he had 3 to 5 years away from a heart attack if that wasn't addressed. So his leaky gut was so severe because he was really allergic to wheat, and he didn't even know this. Like, it's not like he's having these crazy symptoms. This is the really insane part. Like, pretty pretty healthy looking guy, performing at a high level, business owner, working out, starting to eat right. And from the outside looking in, you would not suspect that he could potentially have a heart attack in the next 3 to 5 years. So let's talk about that, because this literally could be life-changing for him, literally saving his life. You never know with a heart attack, how people react. How are you able to make that distinction from the blood work? And what exactly are you looking for? And then what are you going to do to prevent that?
Yeah. So that's a big, long question, but the basics of it are, so really, so people, especially if you're raised in the conventional way of thinking when it comes to medicine, it's all about treating the symptoms. And especially with something like a heart attack or heart disease, a lot of men don't realize that 50% of men, the very first symptom they have of heart disease is a heart attack. So they don't even know they have high blood pressure. They don't even know that there's other inflammation going on, or worry about cholesterol. We can talk about cholesterol as well. But the very first thing that they'll have happen to them is a heart attack. And that's a low survival rate on that as well. And so that's can be a huge wake-up call. And that's not the type of wake-up call that I want to have. And I know that our guys that we work with and women we work with, they don't want that type of wake-up call either. And so what we can do is that a heart attack never happens by accident. Just like cancer never happens by accident, dementia never happens by accident. All these things never happen by accident. They happen because of body processes that are going on. And we can actually do the right lab testing to get a better picture of what's going on inside your blood vessels that can contribute to a heart attack. And we can kind of see where you are on that scale of trajectory based on what those lab values look like. And with this individual, we found like there's some high markers that are big red flags for heart attacks happening in the short period of time. And he was positive. And so what we need to do is we need to address what's causing those issues, what's causing that inflammation going on in the blood vessels, causing that plaque to build up. And then from there, we can work and reverse engineer and get that healing to happen in the blood vessels. Because just like when you cut your finger and you heal and you develop and your finger heals, that same type of healing can happen inside our blood vessels and inside our bodies on multiple levels. And so that's what we need to work to address for him. And we need to figure out, specifically based on his pattern of his inflammatory markers that he has, what's going to be the best sequence of supplements with nutrition, with exercise, with peptides, all those things that can work together in his favor to, turn back the clock, get healing to happen, and get him out of the danger zone of having a heart attack.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main things that I love that you shared is like really finding the root cause of these issues. So being able to trace plaque buildup and issues taking place with blood flow and stuff like that, all the way back to the gut health issues and the nutrition and how that's affecting inflammation in cells. And it's really interesting, man. I mean, what mainstream medicine doesn't do that. Like you said, if someone has issues with their heart and plaque buildup, what do they give them? Like a beta blocker or something, right? Or they're like, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but explain that to me. If he would have went to the doctor and explained that what was going on right now, what do you think they would have done?
Yeah. So in the conventional world, conventional medicine loves cholesterol, right? Because they have pills that they can give people for cholesterol to lower their cholesterol numbers. And so that's really the focus of conventional medicine. Is they're trying to look for, because is there cholesterol that builds up in plaque? Yes. But the plaque is the problem, the inflammation is the problem, and not the cholesterol. And so conventional medicine focuses on that. They focus on trying to band-aid the symptoms rather than actually getting to the root cause of why that's happening. And so that's like the lab test I was referring to, like we can actually measure specific markers to see how much plaque is growing or not. Is that plaque going to rupture, which would be a heart attack, or not? Those cells release messages to warn the rest of the body that something like that's going to happen, versus the conventional thinking of just lower cholesterol. And so, and there's a really good analogy that I heard that it kind of explains the cholesterol thing. So let's imagine we had a spaceship and we go up in space and we were looking down over the city. Say we're looking down over Los Angeles, and we saw there was a whole bunch of car accidents all around the whole city, and everywhere there was a car accident, we saw an ambulance. Right? If we were just looking at this picture of what's going on. And so that's what conventional medicine is doing. They're looking at the heart, they're seeing there's accidents going on, they're seeing there's problems, and they're seeing there's cholesterol there. There's LDLs that are there. When LDLs, that cholesterol is acting like the ambulance. The ambulance is there to help and to heal and to resolve the issues, just like that's what LDL is supposed to do. Your body makes LDL to heal and to stimulate healing. And so trying to lower it is actually the opposite of what we need to do. We need to actually get healthier cholesterol levels to be able to get the healing to happen in our blood vessels faster. And so we don't need a Band-Aid. We need to support and address that root cause. And as we address that root cause, and as we help that blood vessel lining, which is called the endothelial layer, if we help that to stabilize, then we can get the healing to happen underneath that. And so it's all a big, long process that leads to that heart attack. And cholesterol is there to heal. It's not the villain. And so we need to not fight it. There's no such thing as good or bad cholesterol. Cholesterol, the LDLs and HDLs are good for you, and they're there to heal. And so that's the big difference is, conventional medicine is cover the symptoms and wait until you see you have a heart attack, versus us, which we're trying to prevent and make sure that you never have a heart attack long term.
Yeah. I like how you said that. There's no good or bad cholesterol. Cholesterol is cholesterol. That's like, they used to say don't eat a lot of eggs because it's high in cholesterol, right? Yeah. Or is that one of the reasons they didn't want, and they still don't want people eating a lot of red meat? Because the saturated fat too as well. But I mean, you're the one that told me a ribeye is the best piece of food you could consume on the planet if you had one thing to eat, right? A ribeye is the most.
Especially it tastes so good, so you might as well.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So definitely
keep going. I'm going to pull up another message while you're sharing.
Yeah. So on that, with the saturated fat, it is all along the lines of that same thinking, that same conventional thinking that has been locked in, that saturated fat is bad. But when we look at the studies, they've done more and more studies now recently that are not done by drug companies, more longevity studies that show the higher your cholesterol and a healthy level of saturated fat intake does not have a negative impact on health. In fact, it probably could be beneficial, especially with LDLs. Some of the studies have shown that. So,
okay, I'm trying to pull up this. Let me see.
Yeah, and really the whole conventional health system has been really stuck and been driven by the pharmaceutical companies. And they have a lot of monetary reasons to be invested in that because they make lots of money, and we're seeing that now with what's going on with like the weight loss medications and things like that. And so really it's all about coming down to that root cause, and when we do that, that's when we can reach amazing potential for our health. So
yeah, and I love that perspective. Instead of getting the Band-Aid over the symptom, address the root cause that's causing the issue. This other client in Unstoppable 365 said, I can't believe I've been able to function for the way I have for this long. My body's so depleted, bad leaky gut, low testosterone, pre-diabetic, high estrogen, omega-6 is high. A lot of other levels are low, meaning, things that should be in an optimal range. So this was a really big wake-up call for this individual because he has a young daughter and another one on the way. And it just shows you, like, when you do the blood work, your eyes are open to what's taking place in your body. So for guys like this, for me, like, I want to optimize that health. I came to you already at a pretty high level, I want to assume. But some people are very depleted. They're pre-diabetic. They're predisposed to having a heart attack. So what does that journey look like for those individuals? Because I feel like a lot of people watching this, they could fall into that category of not optimal health. They haven't taken care of themselves. Why should that person get their blood work done? And what would you do to help prevent some of those things from happening in their life?
Yeah. And this is something that I think about a lot. This is kind of basically how we built the program that we have now, is the answer to this question. Because kind of there's two paths. There's the conventional path and then the non-conventional path. And so in the conventional path, for most guys, it's never going to the doctor, right? Being afraid of going to the doctor because they might find something's wrong. And that path, starts with your health up here. And then, when you're in your mid 20s or 30s, whatever, you're kind of peak. And then it's kind of like just a gradual decline until you're crashing and burning and heart attacks, strokes, and you have a miserable end of your life. And so, and on that path, that's the Band-Aid path. That's the symptom management path. That's the check your cholesterol path. And that's the norm for what people have. So that's option number one. Of course, we love option number two, which is the high performance optimal functioning path. And so that's what we do. We're looking at totally different markers. So we start on that same level at 25 years old, and then we might start to decline because that's just what happens. And then we realize we have a wake up call that we don't like what's going on. And so that's when we can do the blood work, and we can actually look at markers that look at the root cause of the issue, so that when we can solve those, we can go back up. And so even in our 30s and 40s, which are not old, Sean, and 50s, which are also not old, we can stay at that high level for as long as possible, because we can keep our cells functioning their best. We can look at the markers that tie directly back to our cells functioning and making sure that those are optimized. And when we do that, our cells are going to continue to stay at that optimal high level, because that's what our body wants to do. Our body naturally wants to be healthy. And we just need to stop doing the things that are going to make it not healthy.
Yeah. So with someone like me, who I told you I want to live to be 200 and run marathons when I'm over 100, right? Like, that's the mentality. But I really feel like now I have an answer to peak performance. I think, back in the day and just growing up, seeing people get older around me, you assume once you hit your 40s, your 50s, it's different. And then your 60s, you're old. Well, now it's not like that, right? What you're saying is, when you optimize your health and your cells, we should be able to feel the way we feel in our 20s when we're in our 50s and 60s.
Right. And that's absolutely true. There's no reason physiologically or biochemistry, what's going on in your body, that you should not be able to do that. And because it all comes down to, do your cells have everything they need, and they have all the right signaling to work their best? And when they do, then that can happen. And really, there's definitely a big group of people that's going to be living to 100, 120, 160, 200 years old. That's for sure going to happen. As we're just trying to catch on along with that aging curve. You're a couple of years younger than me, so you might live a little bit longer than me overall, but I'm still making it to at least 150. So,
Wow.
But especially with where technology is going, 20 years from now, with people in good health, 20 years from now are going to be able to be even healthier than people that have had declining health. So, but yeah, that's going to be really the key, and making sure that we've addressed all those root causes. If we want to get down to the details of it, there's the 14 hallmarks of aging that all tie up to the reasons why you age, and we have a big understanding of what those are and how we can address them. And really,
what are they? What are the 14 hallmarks of aging? Can you just go through them?
Are you ready for the deep scientific dive?
I mean,
Because we're talking about
can.
protein synthesis of DNAs and cell membrane functioning and inflammatory processes. There's big, long, they're all super scientific. And so we try to simplify them and to figure out how to cover them in ways that you'd understand, because you don't need to basically understand RNA sequencing that's getting thrown off and causing protein degradation and causing your cells to age faster and cell senescence. So we don't need to go into those details, but basically what it comes down to is your cells have processes, and your cells need things to make that work. Kind of like a big Lego castle. Like, say you have a new Lego set. All those Legos that are there that you have are going to be needed to make that set complete. And so we just need to make sure we have that for our body in abundant supplies every day, so that we can continue to function our best.
Yeah, I love that. Let's talk about aging real quick, because you're saying that people can live to 200. What is the cap on human lifespan?
If I don't know if anyone has the answer to that question yet. And really,
I thought it was like 220. I thought they were saying, based on tests and studies they've done, it shows humans cannot live beyond a certain age. Is that true?
So I've seen lots of studies like that, and then the marker that they're looking at, then it's proven how to work around and to address that marker. And so, and there's lots of testing too, like prove your genetic age or your biological age, different things. They're all looking at different markers, and all of them can tie back to those hallmarks of aging, like we just talked about. But there's not one complete test to know exactly where you are and where you're going to be. And so really what it comes down to is, from what we know now, there's a big group of people that are going to have optimal health to probably live to 120, right? And those people now are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. It's just because this is very new. This is very new technology. And so all the studies are done in animals that age much faster than us and have much shorter lifespans. And so the studies will show that a mouse can live twice as long as a normal mouse, or 3 times as long as a normal mouse. And so how does that apply to us? We're still figuring all that out. And so that's why there's not a specific answer. But from my best guess, with what I see with it going on in the current studies of the aging and longevity space, I think we're safe to say for sure 120 people can maintain optimal health somewhere into that range. But the thing that's really awesome is, so I'm, like I said, I turned 41 next week. You're a little bit younger than me. And so in 20 years, when I'm 60, there's going to be so much more technology that we're going to be able to push that number from 120 out even further. And so then by the time I reach 100, which is 60 years from now, the technology is going to be even more advanced. And since I'm already going to be in good health and you're going to be in good health, we'll be able to apply the new technology, the new peptides, the new supplements, all those things to be able to push that even more to 180 or 200 even. So it's really, we're kind of like, it's like you're riding a wave while you're surfing. I'm not a great surfer, but I've done it a few times. Like if you catch that wave, like where we are right now, and we're just going to ride that wave as long as we're going to be able to go. So hopefully to 200. So
I love that. I mean, I've said on record to you many times, I want to live to be 200. So if there's someone out there listening who has the same mentality as me and they want to, let's say they want to just crack 100, they want to live in good quality health beyond 100. Like, what are some simple things that they should be doing right now? What are some tips that you can give them?
Yeah. Well, I think really the key is you need to know where you're at. Because like in our example, like we just talked about with our first guy, if that process has already started for you to have a heart attack, you're not going to make it to 100. You're going to have a heart attack when you're 10 years from now or something. And so you need to know where you're at and do a true honest assessment, not the conventional assessment, like a good deep dive, whether it's us or I don't know if anyone that does quite as much as we do, but that gets a really good true understanding of where you are currently. And then from there, you just need to realize that and know, okay, so this is where my weaknesses are. These are where my deficiencies are. This is what I need to address. And then give your body.
So you're saying, sorry to interrupt you, but for anyone listening, so you're saying you got to do your blood work to know where you're at, because you can't make an assessment or make change if you don't have those numbers and metrics in front of you.
Right.
And the data. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And and it's basically you need to become CEO of your body and treat your body like you would a business. Like if you're going off of emotional feelings of like, oh, we all feel really good today, and so business is all good because we all feel good, that's not going to make you very far. And it's true, you might have in your body, you might have very few symptoms, but there might be things going on inside. That process has already started. Like I talked with a guy today who is doing really well, very few symptoms. He's early 40s. He's doing awesome in business. He's doing awesome in being a good dad, all the things. But he's never had good blood work done. And we looked at his family history. His family history has a lot of dementia. His family history has heart disease. His family history has cancer that are happening. Like he has siblings that had cancer in their 50s. And so he's at 40, he has time. He needs to be able to jump on that and prevent that. We don't need any surprises. And we can look at the numbers to make sure we're not going to have any surprises.
Yeah. So first step for anyone listening, if you really want to have optimal health and just know where you're at, you got to get your blood work done, whether it's with Dr. J or somebody else. I'd recommend Dr. J though. One of the things he told me, because in the past I did my blood work with Gary Brecka in 10X Health, and I like Gary. I've seen him speak. I've spoke with him at several events. He's a great person. But one of the things you said to me was like, man, my test is way more thorough and in depth than their test. And I believe it's true. I mean, I did that test, and me and my wife got the same results back, and they told us just to take the same supplements. And a lot of people had a similar experience. When me and my wife did your test, our results were way different, and we have different AM packs of vitamins and different PM packs of vitamins based on those test results. This is key. Like, you can't just go buy vitamins off a shelf, or it's not a cookie cutter thing. You want to have the right supplements and vitamins and everything for your blood test results. So I thought that was amazing. And let's talk about that. Like, there's a lot of other people out there doing the blood work and talking about it now. Why is your test better? Why is it so much more in depth? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So first off, we talked about the conventional lab testing, which is basically worthless. Conventional lab tests are designed to find problems that they can give you drugs for. All right. So we're just not even gonna do those. But then we started getting to the functional medicine world, is what it's called, where there's a big spectrum of testing. And so what I see happening a lot is that they're not running enough of the tests, or they're running just the test. They went to a weekend seminar and they're like, oh, run this test. And then you'll sell the supplement that goes along with it. And so, we did that I did that 7 years ago, and I realized, oh, that only gets mediocre results. And so we've been building our test protocols over now 15 plus years, building them out to figure out what actually is going to give us actionable steps to give us the best results. So that way you can make, because of course we want to invest in our health, and you can make the smallest investment that's going to have the biggest bang for your buck with the information that we find. And so that's kind of been my whole purpose, because I can run lots of fancy lab tests. I know of all those lab tests that are out there, but what is going to get you the best, numbers now, the best KPIs for your CEO of your health? What's going to do that now? And so that's how we build our lab package. So.
Yeah, I love that. So it's through experience over time and knowing exactly what people really need. Another thing too is I don't think a lot of other people in the functional health space, or however you refer to it as, they're not as focused on leaky gut as you are. Like I've heard people allude to it, but what you said is, hey, I found that 99% of my patients in the past had leaky gut. So now I always test for it. And a host of other symptoms stem from leaky gut and can be resolved by treating the leaky gut. Is that accurate?
Yeah. And people, they might not agree with that, but yet the reason why our programs work so good is we find the leaky gut and we heal the leaky gut, and everyone is just multiple levels better with how they're performing and functioning and all of the things. And so that's been the key in making that switch, rather than chasing around, fad diets and food sensitivities and different things. Let's figure out what's causing all those issues, because a food sensitivity is a symptom. Digestive issues are a symptom. What is the basic root cause of all of those? It comes down to leaky gut. So,
wow. So, I mean, yeah, if you could fix one thing, it remedies a host of symptoms. That's what we're after, right? That's like a win-win situation. And I love that. And I found out I had leaky gut. I had no idea I would have leaky gut. And so we're addressing that. And I'm excited because, man, I'm already feeling better and better and better. For anyone that's seen me on my journey and just on social media, like I have a lot of inspiration, motivation. I'm driven. But since working with Dr. J, just my energy, my sleep, my overall clarity, my mindset, just everything is taken to the next level. And I'm getting strong in the gym. I feel good. Like I'm 36 and I'm getting stronger and healthier every day. So I love it. I love it. And knowing that I'm putting the right stuff in my body, man, like there is a placebo effect there that even enhances the effects of doing the work with you. When I know I'm putting the right supplements in my body and I'm cutting out processed food and everything that I'm consuming is to optimize my health, it's like you get like a 2x result. It's like the inspiration you get just from knowing you're doing the right thing pushes you to another level. So if there's anyone out there who you're sluggish, you don't have good energy, your body's aching, your sleep sucks, you're not feeling like you're thriving in life, Dr. J is the guy to reach out to. You can go to unstoppable365.com right now. And I believe there's a way to do a free consultation with you, right? If they click on that link.
So yeah, my time is super filled up. And so if my slots are filled, then you get to talk to our program director, a registered dietitian. She's super amazing. I've taught her as much as I can to help you along that journey. But for sure, if you want to for sure get some of my time, I will review your labs with you, because that's what I love doing, is diving into those numbers and building out a plan for you that's going to be specific for you. And that's one of the things, like Sean, you mentioned, it's so many times we're just taking supplements and just hoping that they work. But when we can actually do the lab work, it's not a placebo effect. This is specifically tied back to deficiencies in your body or other inflammatory processes that are going in your body. So it's not a placebo when we have.
I was making a joke. Yeah.
No,
I was making a joke. I feel so good. Yeah, but I mean, I feel so good, and it's evident in a number of areas. Like I have energy all day long. My sleep's better. I feel elevated, man. And you told me from day one, you're like, Sean, you think you're crushing it now? Wait till we optimize your health. And the cool thing about Dr. J, so if you guys are interested, unstoppable365.com is where you can look into the program and the process. You can also just shoot me a DM, whether it's Facebook or Instagram. Facebook, I'm Sean Michael Crane. Instagram, official Sean Crane, I think, with underscores. But the cool thing about Dr. J, this is how you know he's super legit and real. He barely even has social media presence. Like people that are really doing big work and crushing it in life, they don't always have social media followers, and they're not all over social media because they're so busy doing the real work, behind closed doors. He has 15 years of experience where he's really fine-tuned this approach. Now we're teaching him about social media. That's like my job, right? Getting you out there more. The world needs to see and hear you more. That's why we're doing this podcast. We need to blow up your social media accounts. So where can they start to follow you though? Because I know you have an Instagram now. What is it?
Yeah, so Instagram is at Dr. Jarom Ipson.
So Jarom at Dr. Jarom space, or not space, but Ipson, Ipson. Start following them there because you're putting out good content there. And where else?
And I think I might have a Facebook. I'm not sure.
These are things we're working on, right? But I mean, honestly, some people doing the biggest stuff in life with the most success in businesses, they're not wasting time on social media. Once they can learn a little bit about it and marketing and getting their message out there, it helps. But you see a lot of people who are all over social media and sometimes they're not really doing the work behind closed doors that's changing lives. So that's something I respect about you is like you come into this thing as a veteran, you have so much experience and you really have a heart to serve and help people. And we've already helped so many people since you've joined Unstoppable 365. Like a second ago, you basically said your calendar's so booked up that you don't know when you get to talk to people. So we're building out a team of experts to help support you, right? That's the key there. It's like providing the resources for anyone that needs it right away. Any last things you want to cover though and talk about? I mean, we got more time. Any subjects or things that we didn't cover?
So, well, I mean, on that topic, like you mentioned Gary Brecker early, and he's, great speaker, has generally pretty good information on the majority of things he talks about. But there's a few things that we need to kind of fill in some of the gaps. And so that's what we're trying to do. And we are trying to get out there to get our message out, to build a team to help support me with social media and help us people to continue to get amazing results. So we're excited about that. I'm trying to get out and do more. And if I could just ever find a free time, I have too many people that are just packing my schedule, but we'll make it happen. We're figuring that out. So
yeah, we're gonna clone you, and then we're gonna put you on a speaking tour, right, where you can really promote yourself and the work you're doing.
Yep. If I can, as long as I can bring my wife with me, then that's totally fine.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, we got a lot of events coming up. Hopefully, you're gonna be with me in Tampa at the Moving Titans retreat. That's October 2nd to 5th. So I'll be speaking. Rob Bailey, a bunch of cool, amazing people. Tommy Mello. We have Tommy Mello's event September 25th to 27th. So we got a lot of speaking engagements and things coming up where we can meet people in person, talk to them, build those relationships. And that's key. People see these episodes, they see us on social media, but when you get to meet them in real time and they see, oh, this is a genuine, legitimate person, it just creates a real relationship. So I'm excited to get you at those events, and we're going to blow this thing up, man. Every high performer and pretty much everybody like that I could think of in the world needs to work with you. They need a Dr. J in their lives. They need the unstoppable mindset and blueprint that we've developed on our app with the fitness and nutrition coaching. I mean, you see the guys that are coming through the program, they're getting shredded, they're developing the right mindset and habits. And then when we get them to work with you, it just takes it to a whole nother level. So if someone's watching this and you're like me, and you want to be a top 1%er in the world, working with Dr. J or doing your blood work and optimizing your health, it's non-negotiable. Like it's taken me to a whole nother level in my life. Now I'm showing up as a more elite version of myself in all areas. And the coolest thing is seeing the effect it's having on my wife and my children, seeing the effect it's having on my team members, on my clients. Like there's a ripple effect. So we lead by example. In order to do that, we gotta be at the top, man. So Dr. J, appreciate you being here. I think this was a good episode. I want to keep doing these episodes with you at least once a month because we got to educate people and just be in front of them and bring this awareness to them.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so we talked about those events. I will try to be to those events. And so if any of you are listening and you catch me in the hallway at that event, that's why I'm there to talk to you. So pull me aside. I was at an event before. We have people lining up down the hall, but I love talking about health and talking about how I could help you as the listener to optimize your health. So we're here to do that. And like Sean, like you said, so at unstoppable365.com, if you click at the top where it says the Premier Medical Performance Plan, that's where you can get my information and kind of either get set with that initial blood work to get started with that, or schedule with my team to start that conversation and figure out what's going to be the best steps for you.
Let's go. Hey, without your health, you have nothing. And, Joe Polish always says this, a guy who's healthy has millions of dreams and goals. A guy who's unhealthy has one goal, one dream, and that's to be healthy. So don't neglect your health now and suffer for it later. Make it a priority and become a superhuman like me and Dr. J. Let's go.
Thanks, John.